Hello and welcome to this space yet again. And today we are answering a question that we're both excited to unpack. And this is someone asked, how can I express and release emotions in a healthy way? So, what we're going to do is expand the topic a little bit more so that we include healthy practices or practices that encourage emotional wellness, basically. So what she's asked about is expression, but will also include just other things related to emotional health and wellness. Without further ado, acha tuanze.
Yeah. Well, when we speak about emotional ways and healthy ways where we can actually practice and this would mean we are trying to make our environment better for everybody, not only ourselves, but the next person, the other person, and everybody around us. And the first thing we should start with is emotional awareness. When we speak of emotional awareness, we are trying to move from the narrative of I feel bad because most of us, let's be honest, when you ask someone, how are you today? They go like, nasikia sijui aje, nasikia vibaya. Let's move from that narrative of I feel bad to naming the emotion, saying, I feel overwhelmed today. I feel sad today. And this in turn would help us to generally just know what exactly I'm feeling and being able to express ourselves in a more healthier way. Because when you tell your spouse or whoever your friend, whatever you're feeling, that is a channel you've opened to be able to even receive help in its totality, in its direct way.
Indeed, that this whole conversation starts from emotional awareness, starts from emotional granularity, us deepening our understanding and our language for emotion. So this would also, just to add to what you said, this would also include increasing our vocabulary for emotion. And how can we do this practically? You can look at the emotional wheel. Emotional wheel. There are different scholars have put out different wheels, but whichever you pick, it'll help you be able to have a longer list of the emotions that you understand and you're able to explain and able to point to. Another thing that is practical in emotional granularity is being able to check on yourself. So whether it's body scanning or just an emotional scan of how you're feeling, will be able to help you name what it is you're feeling. For example, now given the emotional wheel, you're able to move from I feel bad, right? And you're able to move to a point of distinguishing frustration from resentment, from grief, from loss, etc. So yes, that really contributes to emotional wellness.
Great. And once you are able to name it, you move to the next step, which is accepting these emotions. Because most of the time most of us, we tend to interpret emotions as a signal for like problems, but in reality, emotions are not problems. They are just signals that are being sent to us to interpret them and get to know how we can deal with them. And when you have truly accepted the emotions that you have, sometimes we can be aware and just say, I feel tired, I feel overwhelmed. But what are we doing about it? So for you to be able to sit with it, internalize it, you can do a self practice of, if you're a fan of writing things, you can journal your emotions down, get to write them and know, I feel overwhelmed today because of this and this. And that way you're able to now solve and look at these emotions from a different scope of.
Indeed. I love that you've brought the concept of journaling, writing down what it is you're feeling. And I'd just like to emphasize, if at all no one has ever told you, hear it from me that whatever it is you're feeling is normal and it's valid. Indeed, you mentioned that emotions are not problems to be fixed. I think just that acceptance that I'm feeling exhausted or I'm feeling just really down about A or B, I'm feeling frustrated, whatever it is you're feeling is normal and it's okay to feel exactly what you're feeling. Because with acceptance, then we are free. We then experience liberty. We then experience freedom from the shame or the, I don't know, the confusion of why am I feeling this way. We also feel liberated from you're too emotional. You know that the social constructs, the social things people have, the things people say in society, say is you're too emotional.
Yes.
You don't feel evil. We don't have, in fact, you don't have time to feel. Can you make a decision? Move forward. Life feels like it's constantly rushing us to act. You know that there is no time to pause and check in on yourself. So I just want each one of us to remember it's okay to feel. It's okay to pause. It's okay to feel what it is you're feeling. And now maybe it's at this juncture we can talk about expression, expressing what it is you're feeling in a way that is healthy, because there is indeed healthy and unhealthy ways to express what it is you're feeling. So tell us a bit about that.
Well, when we speak about expressing our emotions, most of the time, most of us, we are like in a balloon that just we don't know how to get out of it. But just like she has said, once you're able to validate yourself, once you have told yourself this is normal and this is what I'm feeling right now, we can move to a point where we are able to communicate with the people around us, but in a way that you do not harm the next person. I'm able to express myself to you, more like practicing self-assertiveness, knowing that this is what I feel without putting you down. Because emotions in its totality, it is not meant to harm me, self-harm, or self-harm the other person. Rather, it is meant to pass down a message. It is meant for the next person to be able to get to understand you. So instead of try and reframe how you speak, instead of saying I am a failure, or I am a bad person, you can say I feel like a failure when this happened. And that would just um you have separated yourself from the action in itself. You have separated from like yourself. This is not your whole identity. Like I am a failure, and this is you being able to express it. And also in turn, you're helping the next person next to you to know that this is what I feel now, rather than it being this is my whole entire day.
I think it's definitely clear that how you package your conversation or your how you package your message on how you're feeling is very important. So maybe we can open up the discussion and talk about emotional wellness in relationships, in our relationships, in with our children, with our spouses, with everyone, because I think the true north, the one thing to remember is let me express what it is I'm feeling because it's important for me to express it, but in a way that doesn't harm anyone, just as you mentioned. Number one. Number two, let me package what it is I have to say again in a way that can be received by the other person. Let me package it in a way that is in line with fact and truth. For example, it's not true that you're a failure,
Yeah.
but it's true that you feel like you're failing when, for example, you haven't conceived yet, right? So being able to package that even to yourself, even being able to package that message for yourself that I, as one boy, I'm feeling like I'm failing because I felt like I failed, or I felt like a failure because I showed up late to a meeting. Packaging it to myself, packaging it to you. I feel like you treated me badly. I felt ill treated when you did A, B, and C. So the point is how you package, how you word, how you phrase your communication of how it is you're feeling. I think thirdly, in relationships, what's important is drawing boundaries. making your boundaries very clear to the people that you love and the people around you. Because if you've had a hard day at work, for example, you get home and maybe your partner or someone requests you to do something that you're not feeling like you have the strength to do, as opposed to doing it as you're complaining, as opposed to doing it and feeling bad about yourself, feeling like everyone steps all over you. Drawing a boundary would look like, fine, I'll get to it, I'll do that which you've requested me, just not now or just not today. So such small boundaries protect your energy, you protect yourself emotionally. Yeah. Another boundary could look like, if you feel you're not, just in general, maybe you've been going through a lot emotionally and you don't feel up for a gathering or a meetup, rescheduling, rescheduling as opposed to again going and feeling awful the entire time, you know. So those boundaries you're drawing help you to walk in and to experience emotional wellness.
I really like what you have said concerning boundaries, because boundaries are where we stop and where another person can actually begin from. So if this is my limit, then that means this is where you can begin.
Right.
And that is not a form of control or anything. It is just a way to ensure that your wellness is being protected. You're able to ground yourself in everything that you do. And just like she had said concerning you come home and your spouse tells you to do something and you don't have the bandwidth to actually do it, that would mean rather that you do not you are building resentment in that silence, because that is where resentment grows.
Right.
So if you're not able to express it, you do not have these boundaries that you need to build in order to feel like you have control over your life. This is where you are now not able to eventually express yourself in a very healthy way. Because once the resentments build up, once the irritability, you end up just gushing it all out to people around you.
Yeah. Wow. Beautiful. Beautiful. And sometimes we don't realize when the resentment is building.
Yeah.
It's just one compromising mara moja, mara mbili. And over the years, you know, you're so far gone in the bitterness of feeling that people keep stepping all over you that you don't even know how to, you know, to get back on the right track. So thank you very much for that.
Yeah.
I'd like us now to move to a different category of how to practice emotional wellness. Let's talk about emotional regulation. Yeah. Now, for regulation, it's basically, I think we've ever mentioned that emotions are like waves. Yeah, they rise and they fall. But how do I remain sane? How do I remain alive and sane? How do I survive the rising of an emotion? How do I survive an intense feeling of anger? You know, when you feel nitafanya kitu mbaya, I am going to do something bad, you know.
Mbaya.
Right? How do I survive an intense and deep sensation of sadness, sorrow, of grief? How do I survive that without, you know, getting to my end? So regulate activities that help in regulation would include breathing exercises. Frankly, when I discovered the power of breathing exercises, I felt like, I don't know, I've just discovered, I've just come across gold, because it really helps to regulate your nervous system. So whether it is the deep breath in, deep breath out, when your eyes are closed, when you're lying down, when you freed your mind, like you're doing your best not to think about anything, or whether it's breathe in a deep breath in, and then you exclaim, as you're breathing out, you exclaim, relax, like relax, relax. In that moment when it feels like your world is ending, those very small 5 minutes, 3 minutes, 10 minutes exercises really help you not go insane, basically. And then another exercise or something else that helps with regulation is grounding exercises.
Yeah.
Because if you've just received the most awful news, whatever it is, whatever awful is for you, it really feels like your mind is racing, like everything is everywhere. But if you sit on your chair, you touch your fingers with your thumb slowly, make sure your feet are grounded on the floor and just feel the carpet, feel the however the carpet feels, however the floor feels, as you're breathing, as you're naming what is around you, 5 things you can see, 4 things you can hear, 3 things you can feel, 2 things you can smell, 1 thing you can taste. As you're doing that, it helps remind you we're here now, we're safe, we're gonna be okay. It really helps you survive the wave, and it'll rise, but eventually it'll fall. I love remembering that nothing is permanent. These too shall pass.
Yeah.
There are days you just hold on to that quote like no one's business. These too shall pass.
Yeah, but even as you are grounding yourself in that moment, and I know it is easier said than done, but
yes, I'm glad you brought that up. It's indeed easier said than done.
But even as you are in that particular moment with that bad news, you can ask yourself one question: what is it that I can change about this particular information that I have just received at this moment?
Right.
And truly, if your answer is hakuna, nothing, just do those exercises, because you cannot pour from an empty cup. Let wellness start with you, and then you can deal with that situation, and that will cut across every emotional wave that you are feeling. You need to be sane, you need to be grounded in order for you to be able to deal with whatever situation that is around you.
Yeah, indeed.
And once you have tried all this and you seem to not be able to get through it, we can always know, like, you can always tell yourself to know when to seek therapy.
Yes.
When you have tried all the exercise, you have self-talked to yourself, because we have self-therapy where we encourage ourselves. When we have emotional problems, we should know truly, I've tried this and I need help. And when you ask for help, it is not you being weak. That is a form of self-care to yourself, to the people around you, to your whoever it is that loves you in your life.
Yeah. And what exercises we're talking about in this whole conversation might not exactly sort the underlying issues. You see, if you've never unpacked the divorce of your parents or abuse you experienced as a child or as a grown up, or just a traumatic incident in your life, frankly, breathing might not sort it, because we need to unpack what exactly happened, where you're at, how you processed, how your nervous system readjusted to help you survive, and how you've been living in survival mode ever since. And therapy is such a safe and resourceful place to do that, because the professional will structure your sessions in a way that you unpack what happened, will structure the sessions in a way that makes you don't feel flooded, you don't feel overwhelmed. He will also empower you with resources, empower you with a strategy that works for you. Yeah. Because you see, if you're struggling with PTSD or PTSD symptoms, what works for me might not necessarily work for you. So yeah, that very tailor-made kind of strategy can really only be achieved in therapy.
And that reminds me of one thing that scholars tend to say, that our actions remind us what our brain tends to make us forget. So it's the unconscious things that we do that are now becoming conscious. So when you cannot sit with your emotions, when you are running away from, when you cannot speak to the next person kindly, there's an underlying issue that even though you have steps that are truly helping you, you still need to go sit down with a therapist and get to know this is what happened, and how do I move forward from all this?
Indeed. There's a quote you said last time that I still really love. Unless we bring the unconscious to consciousness, I don't know, life will seem like it's happening to us and we'll keep calling it fate, something in that line. Yeah. So bringing the unconscious to
To the
consciousness.
conscious. Yeah, that's true. And if you are there, you are struggling with your emotions, you are trying to find healthy ways to actually cope with them, we're going to leave you with two questions that you can always ask yourself when you feel in that heat of the moment. You cannot truly know what it is that you're going through. So the first question would be, is this narrative that I'm telling myself, is this story that I'm telling myself true? And the second question that you can ask yourself when you're being overflooded with emotions is, would I speak to my friend like this? And when you're able to answer these questions, that would be a step towards the right direction and towards wellness as a whole. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I'll see you on the next one.